It really kind of started when I was probably 16 or 17, and I started mixing in between CD players and an old record player I had, and pretty much anything else I could get my hands on. And then computers came into it, and I started trying to acquire as much software as I could, you know, basic synthesizer software, basic sampling programs, you know, stuff like that. The whole thing with the computers was I never really had the money for hardware. As much as I would have loved to gone that route, I just never had the money to go that route. So it was always easier and cheaper to get a hold of bootleg software, and that's kind of how I started DJing and mixing.
I've only really been performing, I would say, for the last 2 years. I mean, I've been producing and mixing music for, you know, more like 18 or 20 years, really. But really, as far as performing, you know, performing in public or anything like that, really only the last 2 years have I really gotten to a point where I feel that there is enough cohesive kind of music that I have produced that is ready kind of to be, you know, put out there and you know, to be heard by people. The most gratifying thing for me is to basically just see somebody from across the room, you know, and even if they have a sour look on their face, even if, you know, they don't look like they're particularly enjoying themselves or whatever, but, you know, as long as you catch that little bit of head nod and you know it's in time with what you're playing and you know it's because of what you're playing, that's the greatest gratification in the world. I don't give a shit who you are or what kind of music you do. You know, if you know the people are feeling it and you know you have a genuine connection there, there's really no reason to do anything else. I mean, that's all the gratification I think anybody should need. I have to give it credit because that's really where I really started to learn about music and how basic music theory works and how timing works. And I mean, it taught me a lot, but when it got to the point where I basically felt like, oh God, dude, every DJ out there is going to hate me for saying this, but when it got to the point where I felt like I was using somebody else's creativity to try to be creative myself, I just instantly started to feel a need to find a way to create my own sounds, to create my own music, because that to me is, you know, if you love music, you love music. I mean, if you love to DJ, then by all means DJ. I know a lot of really good DJs, but for me it was a progressive step. It was something that I had to do, and I'm glad I did, but it wasn't personal enough for me. I mean, I still DJ. I you know, a lot of times just, you know, for myself. I love to just mix music, but it's only so long before I get to a point where I'm like, okay, well, I need to put this away and get back to what I really enjoy doing, and that's you know, creating sound, you know, trying to create emotion and mood and you know, environment with sound is really what it's really all about for me. I could really care less about making a ass ton of money at it. That's really not why I do it.
And from there, I kind of got stale on it for a minute, and that's when I started the idea that I wanted to start making my own music. I figured, you know, I have this constant soundtrack playing in my head most of the time.
You know, I hear music everywhere, so really I kind of draw my inspiration from everywhere and everything. I mean, there's really no end to it.
So it was almost imperative that I felt the need to try and capture some of it or try and create it in real life. And I've had fairly decent success with it, but you know, it's like anything any artist go through. You have ebbs and flows where sometimes it just comes naturally and other times you kind of have to force it. But me personally, when it gets to the point where I feel like I'm trying to force it, that's when I tend to walk away and leave it alone, because I don't ever want it to be forced. I just want it to be organic. I want it to be what it's supposed to be.
And it's like I said, the biggest problem is time. You know what I mean? I never have the fucking time I would like to really get into stuff. Because, you know, before I know it, it's like, oh shit, I've been at this for 3 or 4 hours. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and I need to go to sleep because I have to go do adult stuff tomorrow. I have to go remember that I have a fucking normal life too. So, yeah, it's what keeps me sane though. So.